Hey guys, and welcome to my multiplayer review for Halo Wars on the Xbox 360. This is indeed going to be a review for only the online multiplayer mode, nothing to do with the campaign mode, mainly because when I played the demo of Halo Wars before it released, I really enjoyed the scrimmage battles that they let you play, and I knew I was going to be buying this game for the online mode. So campaign mode didn't really interest me, so I'm doing my review based only on the multiplayer. Now, the next thing I just want to say about Halo Wars is that this is not a first-person shooter like most people believe it to be when they hear the Halo name. Some people still don't realize that this is actually a RTS, a real-time strategy game. And basically what that is, for those of you that aren't familiar with that genre, think of it like a StarCraft game, where you have overhead view. You sort of play God, where you manage your base, you manage the minerals you get to build that base. You build upon that base, you build units, and you have a war all the time, managing your income, I guess you can call it money, and you got to manage it that way. So this is really a really simplistic RTS, and it really is quite good because it's built for consoles from the ground up. So it wasn't a port of a PC game or anything, which is typical for RTS. They really rarely show up on consoles because while Battlefield Middle-earth 2 on the Xbox 360 did a really good job bringing RTS controls to a Xbox controller, it's still not the ideal way to play. You want a mouse and keyboard when you play an RTS game. What Halo Wars does to fix that is it simplifies everything for you, even down to base building. Everything is simple, and I'll get into that in a second. I just want to say that I have played a lot online. I've played, as of right now, 170 games online, which is about 80 hours, since each game can take anywhere from 10 minutes to upwards of an hour, depending upon how your teammates play and everything. Now, I'm a huge fan of 3 vs 3, so I don't really play 1 vs 1, I don't really do 2 vs 2 either. I'm a fan of the big, huge, epic battles that take place in 3 vs 3. I just find them the most exciting. I love cooperative, I love talking with my teammates, getting strategies down, who we're going to attack, where we're going to go. Alright, so no matter what game type you choose, campaign, online, whatever, the first option that you're going to be given is if you want to play as the UNSC, or if you just want to call them the Humans, or the Covenant. Now, it is really different between both faction types because they all have different units. However, the game is still like a rock, paper, scissors kind of game, where vehicle-based units are strong against infantry units are strong against air-based units, and air-based units are strong against vehicle-based units. However, it wouldn't be a strategy game without them mixing that up. So there are vehicle types that are strong against air types that are really strong against other air types. They mix it up, so it's not typical. It's not your typical RTS where, oh, there's a big tank coming towards the infantry. There might be infantry units that can definitely counter those big tanks. For example, the Hunters that the Covenant have, they can destroy the strongest tanks in the game. Or the super unit, the Hawks, that the UNSC have. The Vampires that the Covenant have completely wipe out those units. So it's a really well balanced game in terms of the strategy between the units. Alright, so after you pick what side you want to play as, you have to pick what leader you want to play as. Now, dependent upon which side you picked, it's going to really drastically determine your powers that you're going to have during the game. If you pick UNSC, you're going to have a choice between Forge, Cutter, and Anders. Now, their powers are not like the Covenant, where with the Covenant leaders you actually have them on the battlefield. The UNSC, it's sort of like you don't see them on the battlefield, but you can use powers by just clicking up on the D-pad, and you can kind of use it throughout the battlefield where you want, sort of like a god power, I guess you can say, where you can heal your units in a set radius. You can use their own separate powers, like if you choose Cutter, you can drop your super unit ODSTs in on the battlefield. You can drop Mac Blasts. If you pick Forge, you can lay down carpet bombs. If you pick Anders, she has the most powerful power in the game, which is being able to freeze units. If you power it up enough, it instantly kills all aircraft types in range, so it's quite powerful. Now, depending upon which one you choose, they're also going to get their own unique units, whereas Anders, she gets a Gremlin, Cutter gets the ODST, and Forge gets the Cyclops. So they all get their own unique units. And if you go with the Covenant, you get to play as the leaders themselves. So you have the Arbiter, you have the Prophet of Regret, and you have Brute Chieftain. Now, when you pick the leader, they're going to be on the board. You can get them out very early in the game by just building a certain building. And their powers it can be anything from, with the Prophet of Regret, having a big, huge beam of light come down to do area damage. Brute Chieftain does like a gravity bomb, and the Arbiter has this crazy area attack where you actually control the Arbiter and he's jumping around and killing everything. Now, that might sound overpowered compared to the UNSC, but trust me, it's really, really well balanced, because the Covenants can't use their power if the UNSC use their disruption bomb, which will, in a radius, not allow them to use their powers, but it also doesn't let themselves use their own powers. Very balanced. One faction type isn't more powerful than the other. They balance this out even more by the fact that the Covenant, while they can build slightly more units than the UNSC, the Covenant units are slightly weaker than UNSC units overall. So, the Marine infantry on the UNSC are slightly more powerful than the Covenant grunts. Halo Wars is very noob friendly, though. I mean, just the way that they lay the bases out for you when you start off, the bases are always going to be in a set location. There's no sort of micromanaging mini bases around the map or having to deal with anything like that. Very simple, you just click on your base, you can expand it, a wheel pops up, you just use the left joystick to go around, select what type of building you want to build, and from there you just click on that building, you choose what unit type you want to build, and you click on that unit type, and you can upgrade them. So it's very simple. There's nothing really much more to it than that. You build supply crates, that brings in your minerals. You don't have to worry about creating, like most RTSs, you don't have to create little units to go around and gather your minerals for you. It's all very much, it's sort of holding your hand a little bit, but it kind of has to keep the game from being overly complicated and, pushing new players away that haven't really played the genre before. But it's not so much a game where it's overly simplistic, where it's going to put off a lot of people. There's a lot of hidden depth, and definitely there's a lot of different things that are going to distinguish a skilled player from a new player. That being micromanaging, your units and their powers. Now, what most people would probably do that are new to the game, they'll build, all different types of units, send them all in one big army, and just say, okay, attack this building. You don't want to do that. You want to select all your units, and one good thing they do is take advantage of hotkeys, which basically is either select all units, select units in range, or select individual units with the A button. If you select all units, on the bottom of the screen, basically a bar will come up with all the different unit types you have. You cycle through that with the right trigger, and from there, by pressing the Y button, certain units have special abilities which might require you to upgrade them. But once you have that unit selected, and you press the Y button, they'll use their ability. So let's say you build aircraft units, infantry, and vehicle units in one big group. You send them into the enemy base. You want to micromanage through using the right trigger to go through the different units. You want to micromanage their powers. You want to use certain powers against certain units, and you got to micromanage one more thing, which is each ability has a refresh timer, so you got to keep an eye on that. The main draw for me, though, online is getting in a 3 vs 3 game with everybody that has mics, and you're all cooperating, for the full-on attack. Now, most people are starting to rush now, so there's a lot of people rushing, but if you work with your teammates, you can definitely counter that, get up some good defenses, say, hey, I'm going to build units to defend against the rush, you guys, build up some more powerful units. It's all about the communication. I would definitely recommend this game to anybody that's into highly cooperative games online. I find that a lot of people do have mics. Even if you get 2 players that are pretty new to the game, as long as you're talking, telling them what units to build, you'll have an awesome chance to win against some more of the skilled players, as long as you help them out. Because anybody can jump in. You can have this game for 2 days and play against someone that's had it for a month. If you just know what units to build and to upgrade them, and you're cooperating with your team, you're good to go. So it's it's pretty good. But like I said, though, the good players are going to know where to position their units, how to use their special abilities. There's a lot of hidden tactics in this game, especially with the Covenant, where basically you can warp all your units to your leader. So you can send your leader behind the enemy base, warp all your units in, and destroy them. So you definitely got to work together to make sure that nothing like that happens to your own base. Graphically, Halo Wars is really well done. All of the troops and everything are really well animated, and being able to zoom your camera in to get close up on the action, you can really see all the fine details, like elite honor guards just grabbing some Marines and tossing them to the ground, and it all looks really, really well done. There's a lot of attention to detail. Like, for example, on the maps themselves, every now and then you'll see some birds fly overhead and you'll see their shadows down below. I would have liked to have seen more animation in the maps, but for what they're trying to do, it all looks really good. The sound quality is also pretty good. For example, if you go to attack a base that's occupied by enemy AI so that you can take it over, the battle music will change, so it gets a little bit more dramatic, and when you get into big battles with the enemy, it sort of changes as well. So it's kind of dynamically changing music depending upon the situation, and it all sounds really good. Halo Wars is just so much fun online when you have, all 6 people playing, all their armies come together at once for these big, huge battles. You got missiles flying everywhere, laser beams, everybody's communicating, saying, okay, go this way, attack that guy over there, get rid of him first. It's still hard for me to recommend it to everybody, though. As fun as it may be for me, I know everybody's not going to like this game. Some people are just going to really hate it. I would say if you're a person that's looking for an RTS on the console and you want to try it out, go with this one. Or if you're a Halo super fan and you're willing to break away from the first-person shooters, give it a try. Or if you like heavily cooperated gameplay, I'd say give it a try too. But I do find it hard to recommend to everybody. I'm not going to give it a score though, guys, because it's not a review of the full game. But I definitely do say check it out.